Let's talk with Douglas in Idaho,
All right.
who is calling about love and if it's a religious word. I don't know. Douglas, welcome to the show.
Really?
Oh, hi. No, I don't really think it's a religious word per se. For me, it's just, I think, how people use it sometimes. I think everybody kind of views it differently. And so, because it's so ambiguous between individuals, it can be used to influence people in a certain way. As myself, I live in Idaho, and I am surrounded by family that are fundamentalist Christians, and I get expressions of love from them
Mhm.
caring about me and loving me.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll express they love a God or
Right.
Jesus more than anyone, and I find that interesting since they've never met or even came into contact with their God or Jesus,
Mm-hmm.
but yet they seem to love this idea or this person more than anybody they actually can interact with on planet Earth. You know what I mean? So,
Right.
but even that, I have, family members that will, on special holidays will text me, I love you. And to me, that's the only interaction I get from them for years. And it just makes me think, are they using love as a means to make themselves feel good or to make me feel like I really
Yeah.
am genuinely cared about because of how I
Yeah,
view
Well,
love or
Douglas,
how they view love? You
yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's
absolutely.
kind of where I'm at.
That makes a lot of sense. I have thoughts, but Eric, it sounds like you wanted to jump in.
Well, actually, I wanted to bug you about it because when we were Christians, we were told that there are four types of love,
Oh, God, four types of love.
and the way that a lot of Christians will use love and use their different definitions of love
Yeah.
can be manipulative, and it's not necessarily the person who's using the word as much as the way they've come to understand the definition of that word. And so I kind of wanted to see what you think.
Yeah, actually, this ties in very nicely with something that I found online this week. And I believe that they were discussing bell hooks, who was a black philosopher. She wrote some of the most like mind blowing work, and she advocated very specifically for defining love. What does love look like in action? Because of exactly what you said, Douglas, exactly that. People can use the word love, and because we've all just kind of taken it as this abstract thing that can look so many different ways, and different people, might express it differently. To an extent, that's accurate, but when we consign it to this abstract concept, it allows it to be used in ways that are manipulative and in ways that are not actually loving. So that this has actually been a philosophical conversation that's been happening, and I'm 100% on board with it. I think you brought it up really well. If it's so abstract, if we don't have actually the a guideline for what it should look like and what it should feel like and how people should express it, what are we doing? How are we opening ourselves up to potentially being manipulated?
Yeah, absolutely. So Chris, I want to give you a chance to
This is
respond.
Douglas. This is not
I'm
Chris.
sorry, Douglas. I wanted to give you a chance to respond.
Oh, no, I agree. I think just through my own life circumstances, and although I think since becoming a atheist, I've been probably come to become more cynical than a skeptic probably in my life, just viewing people's motivations, which
Yeah.
is sad, but just because of the circumstance in my life. Um,
You know,
yeah, when people express love towards me, I tend to go, well, what does that mean to you? Why, I mean, you say you love me, but uh, what does that mean? And I tend to kind of be overly critical, I guess, than I should be.
I think that not doing the specific categories that we learned in church, there are some categorizations of love that I think could be really beneficial. Like when I tell a friend that I love them, I don't mean that I have the same love for them that I have for V, or that we have for our kitty, who we have a new name for, by the way. We're going to get to
God.
that. But you know, striking that difference is important, and it's especially helpful when we're trying to, you know, sort those things out. What's interesting is when we were in church, I'm going to bring up my experience on this, and we were called to love total strangers.
Yeah.
And it was compared to this idea of a perfect love, which makes absolutely no sense in retrospect, and of a eternal and oh, help me, I'm losing the word, unchanging. It won't go away. It is unconditional love. Although there are conditions, terms and restrictions apply, just check the Bible. That said, I do remember having this dissonance of thinking, you know, well, I'm supposed to love these people and I have no idea who they are. And so it definitely stretched my understanding of love, and it made me feel more cautious. Like, you say you're feeling cynical, but honestly, if somebody were to say, Eric, I love you, they don't know me, or they're trying to proselytize to me, I am going to put it in that context, and it is going to be circumspect, because from my perspective, what I'm getting is somebody who thinks, oh, I'm supposed to feel very strongly for you. I'm supposed to care about you a lot, even if I don't want to. And that's not the kind of relationship I want to have with other people. And so I get it. You know, it's got to suck feeling that way from family. And the best that I can offer you is, if the religion part was taken out, would they still say, I love you? Because if that's the case, then even if there are religious overtones layered on top of it, you can still take it for that familial love.
Oh, yeah, I agree. I think even to compound on what you were just saying, saying you love someone that you don't even know, from my religious experience throughout my years, I was taught that you were supposed to love people that even caused you harm, the whole agape love, to where you give people love even though they don't deserve it. And I've actually had conversations with fundamentalist Christians in my family that say they struggle with that. They struggle with being able to love someone, and they try to do that. And I'm like thinking,
why?
If you're struggling,
exactly.
You're struggling to love someone that you. I mean, why are you loving someone that you really? I mean, you're putting forth effort to something that isn't even natural to you, and then if I even bring up something like, I would love to just have basic philo love, just brotherly love amongst each other, where we care about each other as brothers and sisters, as family, and human beings, right?
And you know what kind of compounds it is, see, this is what happens. Oh, okay. What compounds it is this whole happy clappy idea of, well, really, this religion, it's all about love. It's all about spreading love for one another. And so when you and I and V, when we talk about, breaking this down, what buzzkills are we that we're, kicking out the one thing that the super progressive Christian is going to, bring out as their olive branch. And so I feel like it's a marketing mistake, to be honest. If we didn't use that specific word, if we didn't say love, or when we talked about, caring about other people and wanting to see, society grow by taking a personal hand in it and taking some responsibility for making sure that the world that we live in is a better place, that humanist value, I feel like that's not incompatible with what a lot of Christians talk about when they talk about loving somebody who you have no idea who they are. It's just the love part. It's just, it's weird. It's weird.
Yeah.
Well, I agree. I think it should be more like genuine compassion and empathy for others.
Yeah.
Yes.
And just trying to understand their position in the world, because not everybody has gone through the experiences you have in life.
No.
Right? So,
but then again, how do you bring that up, right? How do you bring that up? Because how many people are going to respond and go, well, you're just nitpicking. What I mean when I say love, this person is compassion and, all of that. So
well,
you can get slapped
especially
back
if
with that.
they're at a point. Sorry.
No, that's
I
okay.
was just going to say, especially if you're at a point. I was going to say, especially if you're at a point where you're just disinterested to get to know the person.
Yeah.
In the first place, you're just like, I don't really care to know you, but I got my own life. You're there. I'm here. That's fine.
What's interesting? I agree. And what's funny is your call really kind of. It's the exception to the rule that I really appreciate. Usually when people call in and they want to say, oh, I want to talk to you about, the argument that I had on Facebook or my personal experience, it usually doesn't have the back and forth that we're looking for. But this conversation is one that I feel like a lot of people watching may look at it and go, oh my gosh, at least somebody understands me. Yeah. At least somebody, I can relate to this. And so I'm grateful for the opportunity to give people that chance to go, hey, you know what, you're not alone.
Yeah. Thank you so much for calling in, Douglas.
Well, I appreciate that because for the longest time I have felt alone. So if there's other people out there that feel that way, I'm glad that me talking about this would help them in the same way. It's just helping me to just go, wow, I've been living this way for over almost a decade, and it's like, wow, I just don't get it sometimes. So,
totally.
Thank you. I watch you guys. First of all, I want to say I've loved both. I've watched both you and V on all the way back to when you guys were with the ACA, and I followed you here, and I just love how you guys are so honest with interlocutors here.
Really
I appreciate everything you do, and I love you both.
Okay,
so much.
okay. I don't know how thank you.
All right, you're making Eric blush now.
I'm turning too red.
But thank you so much for calling.
Genuinely.
Well, I don't love you, but I care about you.
Expression of love. My expression of love to you is not cynical. It's because of what you brought to me in my life. So I just want you to just know that the love is because of what you've given to me in my life. So thank you.
Thank you, Douglas. Thank you so much for calling in.
All right.
All
right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
I wouldn't use the word love simply because of the conversation we just had, but the sentiment is incredibly sweet and very. Jeez. I'm getting red in the face here. I'm going to match my shirt.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. And I do also want to bring one other thing up before we move on to the next caller, which is I am guilty also of being the person to text people on birthdays or holidays and be like, oh, hey, by the way, I love you. And that's not necessarily the same kind of love that probably would be most useful or nice, but also it is actually a function of my ADHD.
Yeah.
Because there is this awesome thing that happens with the brain with some people who have ADHD, which is the object permanence concept, the same reason like you can put a sticky note on the wall and then completely forget about it or like forget where you put your keys. And it applies to people too, often. And so if they're not there, you're not actively thinking about them or missing them in the same way, but also the relationship in your brain hasn't degraded at all.
No, it's just kind of frozen in carbonite. It's just...
Right. It's like, oh, yeah, that person. I have no idea when the last time was that I talked to them, but I really want to talk to them. And you'll just give them a call and it'll be weird. And it will sound jarring to people, honestly. A lot of the time it's like, well, why do you only reach out on birthdays? Because it's the only time you're on my calendar.
Pop up on my Facebook.
Right, exactly. But that is also something to take into consideration, especially if you are somebody on the other end of that and wondering why somebody dothat reach out as much.
Yeah, I absolutely. That's really kind. And also for people who may feel weirded out, create another category. One that says, hey, other people use love to mean I care about you very much. And that works.
Yeah.
Okay.